Well, hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Good to see everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Let me turn this off. The bus is not on autopilot, so, still doing the checklist here. But everything on the checklist says that it's okay. So, all right. What we don't have on the bus, I'll just let you know right now, we don't have an AI program. I'm sorry. We don't allow them, but we have no bias against them. It's that this is 100% human, baby. So, welcome everybody, everyone in the chat room. We speak favor over you, nothing missing, nothing broken. And today, we're finally getting the band back. We are joined with Mike and Cindy. Of course, everybody knows them as well. How are y'all doing?
Hi guys, it's great to be back.
We're doing great. We're doing great. And can I let you guys in on a secret?
I love secrets.
It's somebody's, I don't know what
Oh,
anniversary
he is
of
not.
her 30 something
He's
birthday.
telling on it's my
It's her birthday.
my birthday.
Happy birthday, Cindy.
Well, thank you. But this is the guy we want the eyes on. This guy here. He's back. He's better than ever, stronger, better, faster. You
Yeah, because
know?
last we left you, you were in surgery.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, emergency appendectomy. I think what I took as my hernia, which I knew I gave myself years ago, acting up was really an appendicitis issue for years, coming and going. Because when they looked, they saw no evidence of hernia, but a very bad appendix, that was flaring up. And man, I ruptured two discs when I was 28. And I thought that was the worst pain you could experience. This was on the same part. It was.
It was really weird. We think it's been there for a while, but I think you remember we were talking about the tick bites
Yeah.
and the tick issue. And he had two that swelled up and left a rash. And that's when everything just rolled downhill really fast. About 4 days later, we're in the emergency room. And we found out after that that three other people locally ended up in the ER after tick bites. So,
So have they checked you for Lyme?
They did previously. They didn't even want to look at it this time.
they
So
weren't interested.
no, they didn't. They just, they recognized that it seemed like a severe case of appendicitis.
Yeah.
And so literally I was shuffled from one hospital to another hospital and had surgery
Yeah.
within
Within 12 hours.
within 12 hours.
Within 12
I think
hours.
it was quite a bit less, like maybe about 8 hours.
They got him in
Wow.
quick.
Yeah, it was quick, but they had to get it out before, it could
It was
potentially
close to rupture. Yeah. And it's like there was one weak link in his body and it happened, but this is the healthiest guy I know otherwise. And I don't think he would have come through it so easily had he not been as healthy as he was.
It happened to my dad at exactly the same age, which is really weird.
DNA is funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Hmm.
but thank you
Interesting.
for all the prayers, you guys. It was nice to have that support, that backup, somebody to go to, somebody to turn to. We had a very dear friend of ours actually came and helped with the dogs, and we were so blessed. I mean, we came out of there, and like I said, he's stronger, better, faster, and watch out now.
Well, I
Wow.
feel very soft and flabby, but energetically, I do feel fabulous. So the
Good.
energy side of things, yeah, which I'm just starting to ease back into a regular routine of exercise, but
Yes.
I have been doing Qigong the whole time. So
And from personal experience, I hate ticks. Um, Put me into the hospital, when I got infected, no one really knew what Lyme disease was, and it eventually turned into bacterial meningitis.
Oh my gosh.
And that was pretty painful.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that
they've done
definitely could be
something.
deadly. I mean, yeah, it's no joke, and I think most of us have a pretty strong idea on where they really come from.
Well, I think with Lyme, I studied it right from Plum Island.
Yeah.
Right.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, and
Thank you.
we believe these things are also, they come through the astral, they're a type of attachment. And I mean, we heard stories from people being on an airplane and then all of a sudden they see one on their arm, and they were in an airplane. And
Yeah, were they there that whole time, or literally did they manifest? As that discussion we were just starting to have before going live, talking about the reality that it's a top-down creation, and right above us has been the lower astral plane. So that's a very, very well, it's a place full of all sorts of nasty, icky things, and it seems like ticks would be something that would make themselves at home there.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the feast on the blood, the whole structure behind that. And I agree with you. It unfortunately, particularly in the Western world, we're so indoctrinated into a singularity of belief systems that we got this crazy idea, well, yeah, there's angels and there's demons. And it seems like that for most people is where it stopped. Actually, the angels and demons are way back at the end of the line. There's a whole lot, as you were just referencing, creatures alive. They're alive. They look at us as like we may be dead, but been around for a very long time, and they don't particularly like us.
No, no, no,
I don't know
no.
why.
Well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't think there's limited space. When we got back from the hospital, I tell you, all of Mike's guides and angels, all of my guides and angels, and we had people praying for us like you and you guys. Thank goodness there's more dimensions, because this place was packed. It was packed full of guides and angels. And I couldn't have been more grateful for everyone's prayers and, well wishes and people. I mean, I was really uh I'm getting emotional thinking it was wonderful outpouring of love.
Energy is never wasted. It'll find a use, and it works. We were talking right before we went on the topic that I was covering yesterday on the fact of these astral creatures. And, we are portal creators, portal openers, and we don't understand that there is a hierarchy that is well advanced of us. And they sometimes don't even need to do the heavy lifting. We're doing it.
Mhm.
And we were talking about spiders.
Yeah.
And it's come to find out that, yeah, there's a lot of humans that, whether they're empaths, whether they're sensitives, whether they practice the crafts, even if they're religious, it's interesting that these creatures, um, for instance, if you're in deep meditation, deep prayer, there's a portal that's opened. I mean, we're crossing boundaries here,
Mhm.
and it appears that we open up these doorways for these beings, and apparently there are those beings that psychically, spiritually feed off of us.
Right. Yep. Yep.
There are, and beings can choose to raise up your frequency like we're all doing right now, deciding we're not going to do certain things, we're not going to go along with, the masses in what, again, what I like to call the dark matrix is trying to get us to do. Yeah, we're going to have our own path. And then we get to that thought of a bifurcation. There's the path, all of a sudden, choose. Okay, where are you going to go? And I think for most of us, it's a no-brainer. We're certainly not going to go down that path leading downwards. We want to go up. We've had enough of this. But I think in the past that's happened before. We've gotten that from the guides. There literally was warfare between spider beings that were human size and humans in our past. And in order to not destroy each other completely, the spider beings moved up slightly. So I guess into that lower astral realm a little bit. And so we were no longer directly visible, but not separated by much. And I think it's the same thing with Bigfoot in most cases. Bigfoot, what we get is at least some of those are Anunnaki gorilla hybrids that were created, again, to be a worker species, very strong, should be able to provide a lot of work. Well, they were too strong-willed and too powerful to control. And then they decided to go and raise their frequency up a little bit outside of the control system's frequency again. So most of the time, they appear to be invisible. And it is perhaps something that we're going to do when we're talking about ascension. We'll raise ourselves up and outside of their range. Maybe we'll actually still be able to see them in some cases, but maybe they won't be able to see us.
When you were talking, I'm Peter Jackson's The Hobbit. So in the unexpected journey, if you remember when Bo Baggins goes into the dark forest, what came in? It was the spiders. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, when he put the ring on, he could hear them talking and that they were using humans exactly that as to feed off of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Interesting. How sometimes maybe there truly was a Middle Earth. I mean, I often wonder about that. And because I happen to believe that the dragons are real, I think that they're still here. I happen to think that maybe ET may not be ET at all, but IT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And AI, like we were talking about, is the different AIs. You know, we do have a friend that's in a high place in the government. That's one of our supporters on Patreon, and he's alluded. He's never came straight out because he couldn't, but he's alluded to the fact that there are beings with good AI, and then there's the dark matrix's dark AI. And yeah, they that both sides, again, more on our level. When you go up in frequency to beings and fifth, sixth density, they would just appear to be like light beings to us or plasma orbs. But there are a lot of beings, that are out there that are of our density, and we would see them as perfectly physical that do use a form of AI as well.
It's interesting. As you were talking, I was reading this article of the coming, and this is not too far down the road. If we don't start building new power plants, who is it? Is it Google that I think is going to be building 6 nuclear power plants? The point to all this is that as it is right now with our grid, there's going to come a junction to where the controllers are going to have to make a decision. Do they divert the power over to AI to run it, or do they divert the power to over for humans for human needs, such as heating, air conditioning, et cetera, et cetera? And it appears that the decision has been made for AI. So my spiritual training immediately starts saying, now, wait a minute. Do you think something that consumes that volume of power doesn't have an ethereal attachment to it on the other side? I mean, we're talking megawatts.
Yeah.
And, you know, Homo sapiens sapiens, we're still way down on the level of intelligence. But if we're generating that kind of electricity, that kind of power, nature abhors a vacuum. Tells me something is already positioned as like they're discussing in CERN. There's a dark force in that collider. And I think it's extended I don't know if it was first or it came into other. I mean, you do know that the internet was initially called the Ethernet.
That's
Coincidence.
Yeah, that is just, again, it's mimicry.
The Ethernet cables, right? So that was,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Isn't
it's
that
all
odd?
mimicry.
Went
Mimicry.
from ARPANET to Ethernet, and then from Ethernet to the internet, and now, according to Musk, we'll be going to the neural net.
ew, ew.
Doesn't
Oh
it?
my
I was
God.
with I was with Ryder Lee on his show yesterday afternoon, And it's quite interesting what you see is happening right now. Because I think we're really at the apex of this merging, this
Yeah.
merging of something. It's a force. It appears to have intelligence, but yet for us, no one seems to really think that this is unusual. In fact, it's almost the norm. And so the next thing to do is to be connected. We all want to be connected, right? Yeah.
Oh boy,
And we were talking about those scanners. I mean, it's coming. And so to me, that's kind of like the final straw, the point, because when it gets into our bodies, there's no getting it out.
no.
Well, there's nanotech already that's,
Yeah.
spread up in the air. So I think we always have to be trying to detox. That's one of the, and I think our frequency as it rises up is incompatible with that frequency. So I do think we'll fry their stuff. Just like, you know, spirits can drain batteries. I'm sure you probably had that experience where, batteries, whether it's your phone, your laptop, or in the remote, can be drained. It's something that happens a lot with entities that are in the astral. They could utilize that energy to manifest, and they do. And as you were alluding to, there's so many entities that have been feeding off of us, all of
Mhm.
humanity's, existence in the Kali Yuga anyway. But when you think about it, I don't think our population is going up right now. I think, if anything, the population in the world is probably declining because, fertility rates, they're just dropping, through the floor, sperm count, et cetera. We know the estrogens, everything. It's all pointing towards most of the world, probably everywhere, but say certain small, more tribal nations. We're going like Japan, where you had 120 million people in 1980 or whatever, and now you have 109, but you're forecast to have like 89 million in another 10 years because nobody's having kids really proportionately. So the population is really declining, but it, like you're saying, but the energy needs are increasing. It's not for us, you know.
I hear the Georgia Guidestones in the back of my head. It's like 500 million, that's the number. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and if we build the power structures and suddenly if you go with the line of the, infamous Deagle report that we were supposed to begin to see this decline in 2025, huge for us. Great Britain, it gets kicked worst, and of course, the other industrialized. But so there apparently is either an event that's taking place right now that it won't manifest itself maybe till a little bit down the road, but there seems to be something definitely going on in our bodies.
Mhm.
When
Yeah.
you were taking your appendix out, and I was just thinking, so what exactly does the appendix do? I mean, if it can be removed and your body completely functions normally, then
It
what's going on?
it's about maintaining bacteria, a certain type of bacteria in that segment of the colon. So then you've got to really make sure that you take in probiotics and take care of yourself in those lines with
And how
eating.
many people in the general population do that?
I know.
Yeah,
No
not
one.
And
I mean, most people don't.
yeah.
yeah. And if you take antibiotics and all of that gut bacteria gets wiped out, the appendix has it to put back. So if you have to take antibiotics again and it gets wiped out, guess what? You have to go collect all of your own gut stuff to get back because now the appendix is gone. So it's kind of a conundrum for sure.
For sure. It's like the tonsils. I still have my tonsils, but back,
You're willing to sell them?
hell no. They're my buddies. But I can remember growing up that I was a carrier of strep throat. In the first grade, they figured out that everybody was getting strep except me. You know, they
Oh,
well,
wow.
there's your problem. Uh, but it's interesting because the tonsils would be the first to become inflamed. And they removed, I don't know how many kids I knew who had their tonsils removed. And something in the back of me says, well, they had to be there for a reason. I don't know. And I think in later in life that it begins to show up. It's just maybe a wild idea I have, but I think, do you still have your tonsils?
Got tonsils?
Yeah, me too.
Yep,
Yep.
yep.
Yep. How
We
many
got
in the chat
tonsils,
room still have your tonsils?
but I did hear a lot of my friends getting theirs taken out. It was almost like a fad in school.
Yeah, it
Like,
was. Yeah.
oh, Joey's getting his tonsils out this weekend. Hooray. It's like, Mom, I want my tonsils out. No, we got ice cream.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you get the ice cream. That was the big calling card, you know? Come on,
Sounds a
kid.
little suspicious. Sounds suspicious now that I'm older.
And with
Yeah,
everything we're finding out, and all the paranoia of 4 years ago, with the whole thing with the jab and all of the nonsense, particularly on YouTube. And lo and behold, what are we finding out? That everything that YouTube was giving strikes on was in fact the truth.
absolutely.
I haven't seen an apology come from YouTube yet, but they certainly owe the YouTube community an apology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
YouTube, you were a tyrant,
totally,
and you
totally.
punished innocent people for merely because they had a different information source than your position.
Right. I mean, they killed us. I've talked about it, because the channel Evolutionary was growing leaps and bounds. And the ad revenue was actually good and turning into something really substantial. And in May, I just talked about a law that was put into effect in Florida, where they could actually take fluids from you without permission, and
Oh,
could,
sure, get arrested, and they'll absolutely do that.
yeah,
Mhm.
or also inject you with something.
Ouchies.
Ouchies,
Ouchies.
ouchies. And this was, 7 months before the plague upon the land happened, but they immediately demonetized the channel, and Evolutionary didn't make money for like 4 years at all. And now they have us capped. So, it basically each video works out to be about $10. That's what we make on each video, about $10. But the month before they did that, it was substantial, and it was their way of punishing,
Yeah,
talented.
such small minds. I mean, it's bigotry.
Mhm.
I had monetized my channel at one time for a little bit, but then they went through this blitzkrieg, and it was mine. Rex got his. Everyone was being demonetized across the board. And then it was kind of reminded me, I worked for a corporation where they merged, and you got called into the conference room, and they announced that the companies had merged, and you no longer have a job, but oh, you're welcome to come back and apply in the morning.
Right.
Yeah. And it's and hopefully YouTube is changing. I mean, I really do, because they have serious competition coming.
Yeah, well, think about what we've seen. Like when you look at who founded YouTube, and
Hmm.
you look at the two sisters, one on YouTube, and the other was at 23andMe, and then one of those sisters is no longer amongst the living, and coincidentally, one of her offspring is no longer amongst the living. You guys were talking about this in chat too. Did I see Hulk Hogan died too? But
Yeah, yeah,
we just lost Ozzy. And just think, we've seen so many people disappear from the public eye recently. It's got to raise questions, even though some of them are, pretty old, but others aren't. The two sisters, they were in their 50s. And, when you look at how everything is a family game, like that Gil Bates guy, I always inverse the letters there. But if you ever look into him, his father, his who his father's supposed to be, and grandfather, and then you look at the Rockefeller family, you'll see that, the reality is that the bloodline is probably right there.
Oh
And then
yeah, yeah.
you were talking about ARPA. Bezos's, what was his uncle or his grandfather? I always get confused there. Founder helped found ARPA, which became DARPA. It's all in the family. It's all in these bloodlines.
Yeah, and they've been established for a very long time. I did a video, I guess 8 years ago, titled "We Worship What?" And it's real interesting if you look at the tech titans and how during the time period from the 40s to the 50s, there seems to be in my estimation, a deliberate entry point for certain individuals that once they came in, their destinies were set. There was no altering, whereas with many of us, destinies can easily be altered and reshaped. These individuals, almost to a person, they were mostly male. And they came in and redefined not only a generation, but a species.
Mhm.
We're living their actions today.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it seems to be authoritarian, dystopian, um, where there's no longer privacy. That's an illusion. And that you now see so many humans, their minds have become so malleable because they're singularly focused in on the black box. It's taken over.
Yes.
Yeah, that cube, the Mecca, and it's all connected. Black Rock, Trump Tower, Mecca. What do they have in common?
Well, since we're on the topic, because I think for the United States and for the world, I like what Jenny says that if the United States sneezes, the rest of the world gets the flu, and we just had a huge big sneeze that so it appears that the deep state here in the United States is under serious attack. They have been exposed, and what's coming down the pike um, could be a divider on such a level that what we see right now is a rogue judiciary that is exceeding its constitutional powers. Now we find out that the executive branch, along with the intel community and a choice few others, were in fact active in an active coup, an active plot. And we're getting all of these details. And so the domino pieces are falling. The question becomes what's going to be the reaction to this? What happens if, in fact, these people are indicted for what now is being shown? This is a rift that's going to impact the economy and it's going to impact the civility of, I think, people in this country. I am very concerned, particularly in the financial markets. This is a type of stuff the markets don't like.
Yeah, everything is changing, and we have to kind of feel into it, and because they have it all planned out with contingencies. They've been utilizing AI their entire lives, so they know if public sentiment gets to a certain point, then we're best off with this scenario. If it's over here, that scenario, over there, that, and I think we've averted a lot of the worst timelines, that could have already happened. But at the same time, it feels to me like this fall, especially October, is a good. It's a good chance they'll trigger something. Especially October economic surprises is the history, So I do look to October and think that if we get through that, and especially if we get to 2026 and we don't have those Deagle numbers, then I really think we've really blown the timelines kind of apart, which means they just can't keep control of expanding consciousness. And I hope that's the case. But when you do look at those Deagle numbers, it's NATO. And I went through like every single country on the list. and they're all U.S. or NATO allied countries that have big losses. There are some losses in the BRICS countries, but they're very minimal, like no more
Yeah,
than
yeah. Southern
one.
Hemisphere.
Yeah, and
Yep.
also the Far East,
Yep.
But yeah, it's that realization of the planning that's been in effect. Like you said, I mean, they took control totally of the education. All the medical schools went out of business. They bought them out, they took them over, and then everybody thinks that, well, haven't we always thought this way? Well, again, they were recommending full frontal lobotomies back in the 20s and 30s.
Well, they
It,
recommended that you have a cigarette if you had anxiety, if you had high blood pressure, Uh,
yeah,
and of course, people don't understand that tobacco really is in certain rituals and ceremonies is a sacred plant.
yes, absolutely. It's the additives again that they.
Yeah. Back in the day, Winston was a client of mine. So it's like, it's,
Oh wow.
yeah,
Wow.
I was involved in NASCAR. And so,
Oh boy.
uh, the Winston Cup, the whole bit. And yeah.
Wow.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
So many things that we don't know. And, right now, when you were talking about the neuro link, I had this partial vision. I have not gone back to it yet, but all I saw were humans that were hooked up to a way to communicate in their minds. It was a technology, and then all of a sudden that technology was gone, and the humans could no longer communicate because we had stopped communicating with our
Mm.
words. We had stopped communicating with writing, and it was very quick, but it was very clear. And I wanted to go back to visit that soon, but it just tells me that we have done this before. This is a cycle, and right now we're being flooded with so much information. I think it makes it very difficult to reason. Like you said in the title, our reasoning abilities are kind of halted because we're so flooded. We're so flooded with information. And there's so many conspiracy theories that have talked about them doing that to us deliberately to keep us, calm, so we wouldn't react to anything because everything is out there now.
The
So
book of Daniel, I think it's in Daniel 70 weeks. And I'm trying to think, it's like 12, 13 chapter. Anyway, it's in his prophecy, what he saw in the future was a future where information was being flooded into humankind, and that this was the trigger of the collapse because our minds were never designed to take a constant stimulation on a 24/7 part. Our minds were initially, we knew how to be quiet. We knew how to quiet our minds. Today, the population, their minds are never quiet, even when they sleep.
no.
And so, anyway, it says that this is what will lead to the collapse of this version of humanity.
Yeah, yeah, it's fascinating when you bring that up again. What do we get? Yeah, we get a church telling us exactly how to pray. You know, this is how you pray. You
Except when
know,
you start praying in tongues.
yeah, exactly. They tell you what to do in that respect. They keep you occupied because, and they might even say that meditation, qigong, and yoga are evil and satanic. But yeah, we need to still the mind because that's the only time we can actually receive.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I have this hypothesis. So as a kid, at the age of 11, my brother and I had four other stepbrothers and sisters. We worked. I mean, we worked on the farm. I mean, from way before the sun come up and way after the sun went down. And our voices were just what we would talk about when we were pulling weeds in the field, in the garden. And my point to that is that there was a time when the very atmosphere that surrounds us, this ether that surrounds us, the human voice was soft. It was not loud. Today, it is the volume has been broken.
Mhm.
And so you've got billions of people doing podcasts like this, texting. It's all now in the ether.
Yeah.
I think that that has a causality effect, that there's too many voices. There's too much of this cacophony of frequencies, vibrations.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they like it on the other side.
No,
It's just a thought.
I could understand that because our frequency waves, our energy waves, they have to go out there, they go somewhere. And we are receivers. So for our ancestors and our guides and our angels to receive the proper information, there has to be some type of quietness. And I think, like you said, it's deliberately kind of exploded or turned up the volume. So we can't hear from our guides and angels and ancestors, and kind of, you know, screwing up our whole human experience, so to speak. And I do believe they're trying to create a fake ether. Uh, Mimicry is really big, mimicry, as far as we already have our own ability to communicate telepathically, and they're trying to create, the neuro link. And that's what I mean about mimicry, and information going to and from, packets of information. We can't see them with our eyes, but we also have that in the natural world. So I could see where it's definitely getting very, very crowded. So it makes it almost impossible to get quiet and hear your guides and angels. I mean, we have a very strong spiritual practice, and we have to do that because we listen to our own guides and angels and other people's too. And that takes sometimes some effort to quiet everything.
and it's every day. I mean, with us, that's the way we live.
Yeah.
We set aside what's usually, I don't know, it could be a half hour to an hour every morning of mantras and receiving. Typically, I'd say a half hour to an hour of mantras and receiving, because you do the mantras and you wait, and the mantras connect you. It's like dialing these energies. Like Sarasvati is dialing in wisdom, Lakshmi is abundance, Ganesh is, this is the Hindu tradition, but you can utilize other traditions too. And then we just wait. We wait and see what comes through. And we're always getting stuff every morning. We'll get stuff. And that's usually the inspiration for the videos that day or the next day. But we do this like all the time. I was thinking about you when I was cutting along yesterday morning. And I'm thinking, this is Wayne's sacred time. I'm out here. And I'm thinking, oh, I should have probably gotten headphones to listen to music. But then I thought, I don't need that because, I could replay in my mind songs anytime. And I just assume everybody else could, and hear every little note, every little inflection in their voice, as if it's the recording itself. I mean, I always hear music 24/7, 365. It's like there's music playing somewhere that's always coming through my receiver. And I guess that's maybe me, but I would almost assume everybody does it that way. But I was thinking
You're
about
not alone on that.
yeah, see, I know you do. I know we resonate on that. And, if you're out there cutting the lawn and you're just watching the birds come by and just noticing what nature is telling you, that's a beautiful thing. It's communing.
My wife happens to love it. She says, she's it's part of the whole foreplay, man sings to his woman, I mean that's pretty intense. Yeah.
I sing to her every day, all the
See, that's
time.
what I'm talking about.
It
You know,
does. I'm trying to get it.
besides the most sexiest dance out there, and that is the Moroccan dance. But anyway, um, so here's the thing that I think about, and it's like when you've been on this medium for so long, you cover a lot of subjects. But as you and I, as we're sitting here, we are literally inundated in a wireless signal. Wi-Fi. And that vibration intensity is now at the 5G. These companies will be rolling out 6G here in the next, probably you'll start seeing it showing up in the next 12 months. So that's another frequency that's being added to this. I think it's a literal field now
It
that is
is.
surrounding all of us.
It is.
So to your point, Cindy, the vast majority of people today, and I'm speaking of particularly the younger generations, they don't know how to pray. They don't know who to pray to. What they do find to be their God is their search engine because their search engine answers every question they have without delay. In
Yeah.
fact, the search engine God that most of the youth is now literally I'll use the word worshiping, that's where your concentration is, that it won't give you just one answer. Sometimes it'll give you a million.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's instantaneously. They don't have to do anything about it. They don't have to ask anything, but just type. Did you see where Meta announced today that they're rolling out this new algorithm that will allow you, this is part of the neural net, once you download it, and then it's in the early beta stage, you can start writing your name and it will take those movements and then transfer that into text. And how it works is that it's using micro photography that it actually can see the corpuscles on your arm, your hand, your nose, your facial features, that is indicators of what you're thinking.
Mhm.
Now, Colleen sent me the article, and I thank you, dear, on that. And I went out and looked out there, and sure enough, it is this reality. So it's one step further. My point to all this is it by design, deliberately, to run as much interferences around our auras, our uric fields that allow us to connect to the other dimensions with this thing we call Wi-Fi? It's everywhere.
Mhm.
So if you're not like y'all or others who have studied and practiced, it seems like the vast majority of humanity is becoming more and more lost in being able to actually connect to the spirit guides, connect to those beings that really do have the best, our best interest for their purpose.
Mhm. Mhm. It's something that I think we need to take seriously, but I also see it as there's been a talk of the splitting of the energies for so many
Yes,
years.
right.
And what exactly is that going to look like? And I know I personally made my own lines in the sand when it comes to technology. I know where I won't go. And I've decided that a long time ago, and I stick with that. But there's other people that they don't mind. They like the AI. They like the technology. They want
Yeah,
the
it's
benefit of it.
seductive.
So in that sense, right there is your split. It's like, I won't go there. You can go there, but I'm going to go this way and you go that way. So we have a split here on the 3D first. And then I think it splits further from there. I think they take on a new resonance because their whole body is loaded with AI. And I take on a new resonance because I'm connected to the earth. And that's going to create the split that everyone's, I think, waiting for.
Yeah. If it's not already underway, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
I mean,
definitely starting, and I think more people are going through a lot of ascension symptoms, probably more than they realize too. Um, yeah, I was asking yesterday in one of the videos how many people have felt like somebody's working on them energetically, like all of a sudden felt like, oh, I'm tired, or I need to close my eyes, I need to lay down for a moment, and then you feel a fuzzy type of static electricity feel over your body. Well, that's your guides working on you because we're going through tremendous upgrades right now. I don't think we could state how big these upgrades are and the changes that are underway. So, I think that the system understands, and that's why I think they know they have a certain amount of years to try to corral as many people as possible. And then we're just going to be past their ability to utilize this anymore. What will that look like? I don't know. Will it be kind of rapture-y? Will
That,
there?
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was right there in Second Thessalonians that Paul makes that reference. The
Yeah,
catching away of the saints in the twinkling of an eye will meet in the clouds and forever be in the presence of the Lord.
yeah, yeah. You
Yeah,
know,
once it's in you, it's hard to get that stuff out, man. I mean, but
No,
no,
uh,
I love the way you use it because it's relevant. It's relevant the way
well,
you
I
use
knew
it.
Tim LaVey, who actually wrote the Left Behind series.
Oh, wow. That's fun.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so let me get y'all's take on that because if I take it out of the religious context, then Paul could easily be talking about the
Ascension.
mothership returning.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. It could literally be a beam me up Scotty to a degree, and it could also be ascension, like we were talking about Bigfoot, at being able to literally change his frequency and not appear physical. I had a gray, a tall gray, 8 to 9 foot tall, in my room in Florida, screwing with my energy field in 2017. I saw it clear as day. I felt something go into my body energetically.
Whoa.
I woke up and saw it. I watched it for, I think, about a minute to 90 seconds. And it was just like Star Trek because it immediately looked away from me and it went into a meditative state. And then it just became an energy pattern like the static on a TV that has no signal. So it was like that, and then it was gone. I think there's a lot of beings that have the ability to shift their frequency and appear invisible, and maybe that's going to be us.
What was that movie, that Celestine
Oh,
Prophecy?
yeah. If you've seen the Celestine Prophecy movie, they actually give you that with soldiers chasing these people. They're going to try to kill these people because the church doesn't want the secrets getting out about Ascension. And these people just they put out prayers and just pray that they're not going to be seen, and the soldiers come right up to them and they can't see them. It's because they're invisible until one of them starts to panic and get scared, and then he does, show up in the physical, and they arrest him.
Yeah.
Why
You know,
I'm getting the walk on water vibe,
well, it's like if you can cloak yourself, you can use certain kinds of magic to cloak yourself. And sometimes people do, they try that and then other people walk by them and they don't see them. And it's because they've used their natural cloaking. So it's there. It's there. I think there's going to be a technology cloaking, and I think there's the natural cloaking. So
So
you
I'll
have
share this in my Bible studies because I was more on the mystical side, the Pentecostal side of it. Um, Actually, and it's how you interpret writings, but Paul kind of gives the same thing. He says, taking the shield of faith so that you may stop all the fiery darts of the evil one. And you're basically putting on the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness. This cloaks you.
Yeah.
aha.
When you talk about Pentecostal, then we think about Pentecost and what really happened. Those tongues, those
It's
flames,
tongues of fire on the upper room, the
their crown,
120.
crown chakra is activated. That's exactly.
Shiotoro sambariyala kiti sinkori sombarate. Nariano sino sabarita dararite. See, it's it never leaves you.
No, because your crown chakra is activated, so you have connection to your higher self in your past lives.
Yeah, I'm hearing y'all. One saying, I can give you the interpretation. Yes.
You
But
know, I'm working with a lovely lady right now, and she's coming online, and she's been activated, and she's just now realizing how quickly the information can come in from the ether when you quiet yourself. And I told her, I said, that's the light. Light, light is information, and it does. It comes in at the speed of light, and makes it very difficult when you get visions and downloads to write it all down. But it is helpful to write it down because it kind of forces you to slow down and nibble at it and unpack it and understand it.
I just want to add this little bit to it. This one person that's going through amazing ascension is in her mid 80s. and she's gifted and just coming like amazingly to such high level of coming online right now. It's never too late.
She
I mean,
feels like she's just getting started. She's great.
yeah, I mean, she's stepped totally outside of what was the religious indoctrination, which kept her kind of in that box. Well,
Hmm.
she's blown the box wide open, and in mid 80s is like gobbling up information like a kid, and able to process it and growing rapidly.
Yeah, it's amazing.
As you were talking, I'm being drawn back. I mean, Joyce Myers, when she started, yeah, I can remember the women in the audience because I watch it, and then I became a part. We were excessive note takers, and it was the ability, and what it was teaching us a discipline of how to stay focused into what we're hearing, and then writing down immediately what we feel that what we're hearing is being spoken about. And it's a powerful concentration exercise, and that's exactly what it causes it to do. Um, Much like praying in tongues, I used to be a part of a group that we were prayer warriors, and we did battle in the ethereal, literal battles. Uh, we were all speaking in tongues, and then there was some very interesting stuff that happened. I don't see it's changed anymore today because I left the religion. Those techniques still work. It
Yeah,
wasn't the religion that made the technique works. It was the technique that taught the religion how to use it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's so much out there that we don't know, and a lot of people are going through ascension and they don't realize what's happening to their bodies. They don't realize what's happening to their minds. They're just, it's like all of a sudden they might have a lot of different really strange symptoms, and they keep going to the doctor, and they're saying there's something wrong, there's something wrong. They run the blood work, doctor says there's nothing wrong. And if that's happening, that is energetically, you need some work there. There's something stuck energetically. When the Kundalini, when it releases, and I've seen it, it seems to happen, it can happen more than once in life. You can have different layers of the Kundalini come off. And some people might have a rather large layer. And if there's any traumas, any physical traumas, emotional traumas, that Kundalini is going to find it. And you might have pain in that area. Like this person I know, severe pain in the jaw, but it was her Kundalini was stuck in the jaw. We had to work on it energetically, and we had to have it release. And it is getting better, but doctors, they just don't know. They just don't know.
I contend that there are more human beings who are soul sick than anything else. And we don't talk about how to heal the soul. But I think that if we did more of that, then I believe there's a direct correlation to the healing of the body. I know laying on of hands works. Our
Yes.
species, our ancestors did that.
Mm-hmm.
But in the modern world, that's hokum.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the system trying to tell us that we have to trust the system for what works.
Yeah, that's why we got to keep the 6 foot distance.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And come to find out, it really was just made up, but it was just far enough to where you couldn't hug somebody, you know?
So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
So
all
what
about
else?
separation.
What else is being made up? There's so much out there, and they're really inundating us to such a high degree with information. And it's up to us. All we can really do is be responsible for ourselves and step back,
Yes.
turn it off, and not allow it to come into our field, and find that time to ground. We do have more control than we think. And I think we tend to give our control away a lot, but just keep reeling it back home, and keep telling yourself, look, I can respond to this situation in XYZ way. And don't forget, you are in control of you. So,
There are a lot of usurpers out there.
yeah.
There are. And they're not all gods.
No,
No.
Some are
they're not.
your business partners. It's like
Yeah.
what? It's like, well, what did that come from? Thought we
We,
had this covenant.
so you don't see that coming.
No, you
Sometimes
don't.
it is that
No.
person right next
Uh-uh.
to you. It's like,
I, I
hey.
it's like the whole Trump and Musk thing, and I'm going, is this orchestrated or is this real? But it's like, wait a minute. It's like I'm watching two petulant children play, and it's like these are the people that got the technology and the money. What?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they have their cue cards and they're like, okay, you play this guy today and I'll play that guy today. And it's a game. To them, it's a game. It's a game. So,
I know a billionaire, and he told me we were out in dinner one night, and he said that's the problem about being wealthy, extremely wealthy. You get bored.
oh,
And he says it really, and I'll quote him directly. He says it really fucks with your mind.
huh.
He says there isn't anything I couldn't get or do. He says, so now what do I do?
Well, I would think that there are some challenges. Like you
Well,
could have a lot of money, but you might not have an awakening, you know?
I
yeah.
think a lot of them aren't awake. That's the problem.
Yikes.
If we could start think about this, the three of us starting a consulting service strictly for billionaires, that we will take them on the path that where they can really appreciate being rich. Because you get an awakening experience, well, that changes everything.
Yeah.
Suddenly now I don't need $1 billion yacht. I could build $1 billion conference center to where other people could start coming in, where we're starting to cultivate the crafts that we as a species cherished and aided in our development. I mean, I still believe that that is very possible. I think there's a huge need for it.
Feeding the soul, feeding the soul.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 Well, that's the name of that would be a good consulting group. Could you see that? Soul feeders.
Oh,
There you go.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, that
It's
could be it could be taken both ways. Yeah.
yeah, it could be.
Come on. You don't need that soul. Just sign the papers. Oh,
Yeah.
my.
Oh my gosh. I do
Could you
believe it.
imagine what they would do to us?
Oh, loads of fun. Loads of fun.
Oh,
I,
Cindy,
I
that was funny. He who
yeah.
gives the gift of laughter is truly blessed indeed. So thank you.
Well, that's where it's at. If you're ever having a rough time, if you're information overload, I went through a really difficult experience in my life for about a month straight. And what I did is I got in front of the TV and I turned on Comedy Central and I just laughed and I laughed
Yeah.
and all day. And that's the only channel I watched was Comedy Central. And I do tell other people too, it's like if you're really having a hard time going through a thing, turn on, funny animals, funny kittens, funny puppies. It works. It works. I'm telling you.
Marx Brothers. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
sophisticated humor. But then it's like it's a mad, mad, mad world. I mean, they had virtually every comedian that was known in Hollywood on that movie. And it was some great one-liners in there. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, well, this has been fun.
It's been great. It's been great.
I still
Always.
like that. I'll just have to tune that up a little bit, soul feeders, soul seekers.
We're close.
We're close. It has potential, is what I used
Yeah.
to say in in the meetings. It's like, all right, that keep that. It's got potential to it, and many times that's exactly what.
Yeah.
Sorry, I could see how the world would take that.
Yeah.
Oh man, they don't tar and feather us anymore, right?
Yeah, no, not that I last heard. I don't
All
know.
right, just wanted to make sure because
They
the
stopped, they
pitchforks.
stopped, yeah, they stopped lobotomies too, so we might be safe.
Well, as we look at this hour go by, so I want to get y'all's take on with what we see and take the political structure, everything that's happening in that drama kaleidoscope. Um, I can't help but not think that if there is like revelation being dropped, that there is a equal and corresponding action in the unseen realm, which tells me or gives me the sense that there is some real chaos taking place, and I get the feeling that this chaos that we're seeing is only going to continue to increase, and it seems to be deliberate.
Yeah. I think again it's the system trying to maintain control, but they really are losing control. And I don't think maybe everybody understands just how much they are losing control. But just think about all the realizations that came out, and we did a Patreon exclusive that I won't bring up the topics because it's definitely not YouTube topics in the medical and health stuff. But a certain percentage of people that would no way, under any circumstance, do something that's recommended for everybody to do, and now you have a big chunk of the population saying, no, I'm going to look
No,
more.
there's no trust.
No, the trust is gone, so they can never get it back. They can
Mm-mm.
never get it back, and they're trying to maintain control somehow. And I think it's instead of pushing and forcing, I think it's going to be more like carrots. It's like here's some candy. They're going to try to bait us in with, like technological advances, maybe, again, life extension technologies and all this. Maybe really truly cleaning up the environment in a lot of ways as long as they're still being allowed to maintain control. They'll give us some things because they're losing control of the narrative. So I think that's when we get to that point. But then, we have to really demand total change because it's been a very unfair system. It's been a very parasitic system. And we need like absolute change. When you look at like Thomas Massey, you see Thomas Massey from Kentucky, the representative, again, like he's been very critical of 47. He's been very critical of RFK Jr. But we need more than just revamping or reworking things on the small level and getting rid of one person in power or, putting on trial somebody who was in power. We need more than that. We actually need a system that's looking out for us. And it's never been the case in all of our lives that they've actually looked out for the average person. It's always been about maintaining control. And, where do they have to throw us a bone and where can they get over on us more?
It
Inter- Go
brings
ahead.
it back to us. It brings it back to us as a people again. It's like, what are we willing to tolerate? Are we going to continue down the same road? Are we going to keep buying the same story? Because I just don't trust them at all ever. I'm so cynical that way. The only thing that I really find is good is what they're doing on the forefront of helping heal the mind, psychedelics and things of that nature that can actually heal depression and heal brain injuries and heal brain traumas.
What was that stuff that Texas does?
There's something called Abigaine, and it's being tested in Texas right now. And it's one of the few, it's a plant medicine. It's not legal here yet, but they are testing it in Texas. It's called Abigaine. And it can actually, after one treatment, heal 92% of the human brain, whether you've been through addiction, whether you've been through depression, whether you have brain injuries, whatever the case may be, 92% healing rate after one dose. And they're trying to get that going now. So those are the things I keep my eye on and I keep myself open and hopeful for, because I know a lot of people who've been severely injured by life and the medical practices that go on.
Yeah, PTSD. I mean,
it's big.
Anybody that's been in a war scenario has PTSD.
That could be domestic too.
Yeah, it could be domestic abuse as well. So,
See, growing up, we didn't have those terms.
You were just you had to sit with it, and it was not fair. It was not fair because there was things happening to your brain that you weren't even aware of. You're just going on down this road. Luckily you got on a path that kept you together and stable and you're getting better, but there's a lot of people who didn't. A lot of people went down a different path and they didn't make it because of the trauma. So,
Well, yeah, Delaney and Bonnie had it best. I've got a never-ending love for you. So, so it's always the song. That's what it is. But Yeah, and speaking of that, I recently saw even within the VA, they now recognize that psilocybin
Yeah.
has a remarkable effect as well in healing, particularly with the PSD8 or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
PTSD. Yeah. Yeah.
PSD, yeah.
And this is what we mean. You don't see that get pushed through. And the reason is because it would take so much money and profits away from other things. That's just the truth. Same thing with, CBD. We know CBD works. We
Yeah,
have receptors
yeah.
in our bodies for it. So, again, usually if it's natural, they won't push it. They want to isolate and then they need to get a patent so you can make money on it.
We would just walk the cow fields and pick the mushrooms as we came on them. I mean,
The
that's
good
just
old
how it
days. That's
works, you know?
probably what saved you.
Yeah, you know why? Because, you actually eat from the bullshit and then, you're not going to be susceptible to the bullshit, you know? So,
You have all the answers, Wayne.
no,
You
I
that
just
simple guy. Just a simple guy.
and I've told the story many times. I was out there with a group. I hang out with a pretty cool group at the time. And when the cows surrounded us, and we're all really stoned. I mean, and I swear the cow started talking to us.
You probably was.
Yeah,
And I wasn't alone in that perception either. So
they again, animals are intelligent.
they're
They
very intelligent.
way more intelligent than we give them
Well,
credit
you
for.
probably rose up in vibration. You were able to see
Probably got up
how.
to their level.
You got up to the right level. Yeah.
I mean, you have to say, if you have a higher intelligence and you see these humans and what they're doing is that they're picking from the manure. I mean, come on. I mean, you've got to.
Yeah. Yeah. You wonder why the
They
aliens
got
keep
upper
flying
management
by.
written all over them. That's all I got to say.
Oh my gosh.
Y'all, I love this. This is well. Let everyone know where they can find y'all.
Aw,
And
you.
uh,
Evolutionaryenergyarts.com is our website. And, we do consultations. We do all kinds of spiritual modalities work.
Energy work, ascension help.
Yeah, a lot of ascension
and
help.
people can become Patreon subscribers, right?
Yes, they can
Yes.
help us on Patreon because it is difficult work. It is hard to get this information out there because we're actually teaching people how to heal themselves and mind, body, spirit.
You know, I tell people this all the time. If you want true prosperity, then have a healed body, have a healed mind,
Yeah, yeah,
because then there is no limit to what the possibilities will be. But that is the richest place you'll ever be in this physical world is having your body and mind and soul
yeah,
healed.
yeah. And truly healed too. It's about taking it all and putting it together and making it function as one. And we help people find their own spiritual practice. There's so many questions out there that people say, well, I can't really tell this to a doctor. And they're right. There's certain things you don't say to a doctor, but we understand. We've worked on thousands of people and we've been so blessed to have all of these experiences, and it's been just such a blessing. So we do appreciate the support in any way. Come see us on our channels. We're usually going live on EEARTS, right?
EEARTS,
Yeah,
yeah,
EEARTS.
it's the least resistance. Like Evolutionary was the original channel, and then it looked like they were going to just take it down totally. So we built EEARTS, and that was the backup channel. Then we built Heart's Home, which is just spiritual, no news, more like how-to spirituality. That's not really dogmatic in nature. At least it's not supposed to be. It's again trying to find things that resonate with you because, take what feels right and discard the
Yeah,
rest.
it's a buffet.
It
Yeah,
is. I
yeah.
love
Yeah,
buffets.
yeah, I do too. I mean, back in the day when Vegas was really good with buffets, that was, when I had to go to those conventions, that's what I did was go to the buffet. Uh,
Yep.
They had
Yeah,
some nice buffets in Vegas. Big,
yeah, they used to
big.
really, yeah. And
Yep,
then 4 years ago came and they ruined the party.
they did.
They
They did.
did.
Thanks for
Well,
having on again, Wayne. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
appreciate it. I'm the one blessed here. And next Thursday, I like
Yay.
Thursdays. Yeah, I mean,
Good.
the world's changing. World's changing.
It absolutely is. I would add one thing too, with enough meditative practice and certain practices, your body can be induced to promote its own and produce its own DMT to a higher level. So again, plant medicine is out there, but I really think the ultimate medicine is literally just cultivating the inner stillness and understanding how to cultivate the life force, which is all around us.
Yep.
We're swimming in it. It's right here for us.
So I'm hearing in my head, Mike, the Moody Blues on, that watching and waiting. I think it's to our children's children's children. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that that's what awaits for them. And what I see when, like y'all doing, so many times it's really bringing a person to where they can knock on the door and have that door open and for the first time meet themselves.
That's a
It's
great way of
beautiful.
saying it.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful watching people bloom and grow. And what's so
Yeah.
exciting is people get to meet their spirit family when they go through an awakening. Many times the spirit family, they show themselves to the point where people are getting pictures. And I've seen the light ships in the sky, and it's amazing. It's your star family coming to say, we got your back. You've gone through an awakening. Now we got your back. And that's probably the most rewarding thing I've witnessed.
And Cindy, for you, when you were saying that, I was hearing Neil Young after the gold rush. Remember, I was sitting in the field and saw the stars, the spaceship come down. Yeah.
There we go.
So,
There
yeah.
we go.
All right. Much love to y'all. Thank you, everyone in the chat room. We will see you next week on, again. It's changing quickly and we do appreciate it. We speak favor over you again. Support this couple. It's well worth it. You plant a seed and that sows prosperity into your life. So think about it. We'll see y'all again real soon. All right. Much love, everyone.
Much love.